Hello, good morning, Facebook world. I am so thankful for Facebook. So I'm just going to say thank you, Facebook, for existing. Because without social media, I wouldn't have a platform. So I just want to say thank you so much. I had to learn the rules, but you know what? Like anything, there's always a learning curve with any new platform that you use, especially in this new advanced technological age. So, okay, it's December 3rd. Okay. And usually if I'm going to get my period, right, I would feel something about a week or so before. And I would know, I would be acting erratic or super triggered or really tired, wanting to sit on the couch and just like watch movies all day long and take naps and eat a bunch of food and go take naps. Okay. And so when those days happen, like within the last, like, let's say not this last month, but the months prior, I would just set time aside. I would listen to my biochemistry, and I wouldn't feel bad because I know that that's where my biochemistry is at. So I listen to it. I do what I do. I still drink my juice. I don't, get too on myself because, oh, okay. So it's not like it's PMDD, but it's a type of hormonal change that affects my, overall energy levels and day and productivity and everything else. So I'll just set time aside and sleep. And I know my husband's like, God, you've been sleeping a lot. This is like about a month ago or so, or maybe intermittently here and there, right? But not lately. No, it's like when your body tells you that you're tired, go take a nap. All of your reparative work, all of the things that are being, fixed inside of you happens when you need to take a nap as well. So don't think that, the norm is that you don't need as much sleep, because sleep is the other side of being awake. And it's where you do have your digestive processes and things that need to get fixed happen when you're falling asleep. When you're awake is when you're productive, when you're thinking clearly, when you're taking care of business, when you're helping people, when you're doing whatever you have to do to make sure that your daily life is going status quo. And then you set time for sleep. You also set time for healing. So sleep is like paramount on this protocol. And when you're tired, sleep. And so the only major hormonal thing that I dealt with since me being on this protocol, and then since prior to October 20th, was just some more of the fatigue and a little bit of craving some like bad food, and then and fatigue, maybe a little bit of irritability, but nothing like it was. I was like way back when, was all of those little hormonal issues like bloating, whatever, were just like astronomical. They were like so like on steroids, just super huge. Like seriously, it was how would I even say it? It was the extreme side of any mild PMS. I mean, that's the only way I could say what PMDD was. And so I've been watching my PMDD just slowly start tapering off, and the extremes are not extreme anymore. And then it gets very mild, and then almost to non-existent. And then that's when I'm seeing, and then my periods were also changing a little bit, right? And so now I'm seeing, like this last week, like this weekend, usually this weekend, my husband's like, downstairs playing with his truck that he, or whatever else that he's doing, right? And I'm like, okay, I've done all my stuff. I know there's things I need to do, like my taxes and all that stuff, but that, I have time for that. But I'm like, okay, I mean, I could go in the group, or I can go on my website and answer, which I do answer questions here and there. But I'll go sit, I'll just watch TV or watch Netflix or something and just get more info, more data. And then I'll take a nap, I'll eat some food, and I'll take a nap, and then he'll be like, oh, and I'll be like, ooh, okay, that was a great nap, right? This weekend I was like, I couldn't really sit down and relax. I think I did spend a few hours watching that Netflix show Baby, which is really controversial. I'll talk about that later. But no, yesterday and the day before, I mean, I cleaned the house, I was putting the garbage, doing stuff with the garbage, and oh my God, I mean, moving stuff. There's stuff that's been sitting, on this floor for days. Playing with his Legos, yes, Kevin. I mean, there are things that I've been ignoring that would sit in a corner, like this table that was broken because I had to break into my own house because I forgot my keys. And so one of the neighbors helped do that with the AC unit, and it dropped on the table, and and the table just exploded. And so I have like the pieces in the corner. I'm like, why are we even keeping this? So I've been like slowly and I clean certain things like underneath the stove, which I haven't done in a while. And my husband mentioned this stuff. He's like, Jillian, you haven't cleaned under the stove in probably ever. And then because there's certain things that I don't do. So, but yesterday, and I'm like sitting on the couch thinking like, oh, can I relax? And no, it's like I mean, even cooking, I'm just like cutting up the potatoes, and I'm making these, and they're like in like tiny squares, almost like corned beef hash, like almost like hash, but these little squares, and I'm getting so much joy out of it. And I'm like, okay, what is the deal with this? And what I'm seeing is that I'm just more focused on the projects and the goals that I have. Now, I know some of you have felt this, do this in different instances, right? Some of you are very meticulous with your cooking. Some of you are very clean and OCD, right? Of course, Shirley, I feel present. I feel very present. I've been feeling present for a while. It's just the other issues that I've been dealing with. But all of you guys have certain like aspects of where you're really good at something, like your OCD, which means that you clean everything so amazing, right? Others of you are so amazing at your job. Others of you have, make sure that your cooking is like awesome, right? You have all these different talents, but then you're in other areas you're not very good at. Like, let's say your health. Some of you have really meticulous areas like cleanliness or something else, but your health is failing. Others of you are really, really good at your job, but your relationships are failing. Other of you are really good at something else, but something else is failing, right? And so it's like now I'm getting a glimpse of the energy levels that I have where I can be productive and then go to sleep for like 9 hours, because I'll go to sleep around 10 and get up around 7. So that's like that's 9 hours. And actually this morning I told my husband I wake him up at 3:30 because he has to go and do stuff with the truck. So I was up at 3:30, and he finally got out of bed at 4:17. But I was able before. I mean, I know he would ask me, "Can you wake me up?" But I didn't make him coffee this time. He makes his own coffee. I mean, I'll get it all set up and he just presses a button. No, we don't have one of those machines that like automatically go on at a time. We're pretty old school, and I'm fine with that. But I didn't go down and make coffee. But I did, wake up. And I wasn't like irritable about it, like I usually am, because I need my sleep. When I'm like really, when I know, but my body's all messed up. And when he tells me, oh, can you wake me up at 3:30? Are you going to get up with me? I'm not going to get up with you, but I'll wake you up. Usually I have that gut reaction, that trigger. I'm like, oh, no, get yourself up or go sleep in the truck or something. And that means that my body needs sleep. I don't need somebody interrupting me. And it's not a bad thing. So this is what your needs are. So don't discount even a little bit of your attitude. If you have an attitude around something, then that's okay, because it means that your body's telling you, okay, no, you need your sleep, you need this, listen to it, and make sure people around you know what's going on so they don't mess up your biorhythms or whatever it is that you need at the moment. Because, in our society, we've totally overridden our needs, and we're intellectualizing what we should do. What would happen if we actually felt like everything that we should do? What would happen that we didn't have to say, oh, okay, I know I don't feel like doing this, but I'll do it anyways because that's what a responsible person should do, right? When we should ourselves in our society, and then you're not really being authentic, and then you start resenting yourself that you're living, that you're living up to somebody else's expectation, and then you resent, and then who knows what other, issues stem from that type of lifestyle when you're living according to somebody else's instead of your own. And so my whole thing is every single time that I couldn't do something back when I was before the protocol, it was like I didn't feel like it. It wasn't, I don't want to go to work because I'm feeling tired and irritable and I'm not going to be productive, so I'm going to call in sick. And that's what I would do because there was no sense of me going to work and I'm feeling like crap, right? Now it's like I don't feel that. My goodness, you're fast. Yeah, surely. Yeah, I don't feel that like I have to intellectualize what I need to get done. Like, yeah, I know, I mean, I need to get my taxes done, and I will eventually, you know, I mean, I have until March, right? But I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around it and get it done early. So it's always in the back of my mind because I know I have to get stuff done. Because that's what I do, is I'm trying to be proactive and get stuff done early before things start coming down the pipeline, and start setting things up. So in case life takes a left turn for whatever reason, you know, because things do happen out there in the world, and you want to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row and whatever, and then you plan for the unexpected. So that way, you know, you can always be on time, or you can always be right on point when it needs to happen. So this was an interesting weekend. And I think my husband going like, what? I don't even know if now, I still only have sex once a weekend. And I know he wanted it more this weekend, but I'm like, no, I'm feeling amazing. I don't need sex right now. I just want to, like, I feel like I can go walk the dog, but I don't want to walk the dog too long because I have weird neighbors way down there on the other side of the tracks. So I don't want to mess with that. So it's like, you know, when I was lifting up these items in the yard that were heavy, and I'm just throwing stuff here and throwing stuff there, and I walk the dog, and I'm like walking, and it feels like there's like nothing at all. And I know, you know, every single day people go to work, every single day people go drive a truck or throw steel or garden or play sports, and you know, and they survive for like 60 years, but you see their body breaking down. So I'm so aware of just any kind of energy I exert. I'm always aware, okay, well, I exerted some energy, I broke down a few cells, but they repaired pretty quickly. But I still want to make sure that I keep repairing my cells, because you know there's things out there that are coming at us that we don't even know that do break our body down. So we always have to repair it. And then today and yesterday, when I was looking at the salad that I ate, it wasn't really a salad, but it was like vegetables. And I noticed that there's I put in onions, I put in cilantro, because yes, it is for taste. But you look now, the balance of the human body needs to be exactly aligned with your food intake when you get to that point of 100% wellness. And I'm thinking that me tapping into amenorrhea, not having my period, having that fluctuation, I'm seeing now that I understand the balance. So that food, that raw food that I only had a little bit of onions. So when you look at the elemental composition of the human body, you see oxygen, the first 9 elements, all the electrolytes and potassium and everything else. And then all the trace minerals are the negative elements, the arsenic, the mercury, the fluoride, other negative elements, uranium, right? And you'll see that in my book. And so my bowl of raw vegetables exactly was aligned with the elemental composition. There was a few onions in there, very few, wasn't like all onions, right? Because onions are a negative element, so is cilantro. You can read that in my book. No onions, no cilantro on the diet, so you understand what the negative elements are, so you know how to keep it balanced when you finally get to the point of equilibrium. So you can eat like garlic, you can eat those spices, but it's not going to be used as if it was like your main course. You're not going to be eating large amounts of garlic, or you're not going to be eating a whole onion as if it was an apple. So when I was eating my food, I was eating a lot more cabbage. I had cabbage in there, I had cilantro, I had carrots, and I had an onion, and I think that was it, yeah. And so the carrots are the sugar, okay? So you need a little bit of sugar too in your diet, right? And you don't need it as astronomical as we have out there in our processed food, typical American Western diet. So my bowl of that, my snack, was exactly, you know, aligned with the elemental composition of the human body. So that's what makes you conscious of what you're eating. Okay, right now we're eating spices like turmeric and garlic and ginger and apple cider vinegar and all these things as if it was like, you know, cabbage. And then no wonder people are dying. No wonder people are having major mutations. And not because that those spices mutated them, but it doesn't allow the body to repair. So whatever mutations they already have are never ever getting repaired. So it just degrades the person further. It keeps exacerbating their already created mutations from whatever event that they experience, whether it's from vaccines, whether it was some area that had a lot more pollution, whether it was from blunt force trauma in an accident. That's what these spices and cannabis and colloidal silver are doing to people. It's keeping them at that level of their mutated homeostasis level. And they're not ever crawling out of that hole. And they're also degrading. Now they're not degrading so fast because they're not eating like, you know, large amounts of arsenic or mercury. But they do a little bit or even a bunch every day, and they already have a bunch of heavy metals in their body. They're already mutated. They already are harboring all that negative elements. And then they're even taking it more on a daily basis, whether it's colloidal silver or something else. And then it just compounds their issue. And then they wonder why they're aging. No, they don't wonder why, because there are people out there who think aging is totally natural. They think, well, it is on a dying body, but why are we dying? And so this is the major program that I'm up against is, why are we dying? We're dying because we're malnourished. We're no different than those people in Yemen. We just happen to have a lot more fat on our bodies and a lot more mutations. We have people who are schizophrenic. We have people who are major bipolar and are accepting it. And they're protesting against what's going on in Yemen, or there's other places where people are starving. You know, we're starving here in America, but we're living with our starvation. We're still able to, you know, function. And what is it? It's almost like Hollywood. They take and mutate people and they make them like this weird anomaly, and you're just like, wow, it's like a freak show. And they expound on that, and they make money off of these mutations. Like the Real Housewives, they have these people under knives over time. They're getting plastic surgery, and they're all looking like freaks. Like, seriously. And then you watch them fight on TV, and just like watching that movie Baby, Netflix. The kids nowadays in high school are so much more advanced because they're getting their periods way sooner, so they're a lot more sexual sooner. And then, yeah, now they're acting as if they were like in their 30s, and they're in like high school. So you're going to see how fast our society is going to advance. I mean, yesterday, oh my God, I went to my Instagram account because I never use Instagram. I used to a lot, and it was kind of cool and whatever. And so there's things, so if I accept you on my Instagram, if I know who you are, because I can't tell by the names, then, you know, you'll see some of what I look like, you know, back before I did the protocol a few years. And I got like one instant message. I don't get many instant messages from Instagram because I don't really use it. But it's what this person Instagram me. It's like Eat, Travel with Max. Eat and Travel with Max or something like that. And I just read a little bit peripherally, and he was talking smack. I'm like, what the hell? And he's, you know, and he's doing all these reviews on every place that he's lived out there, but he's visited, and all the food, the pizzas and the barbecue and all of the crazy yucky food. And I'm like, what? This guy is on me, and he's eating a crappy, typical, fatty, processed American diet. So I'm just like, you know, I wasn't mean to him, but I just said, hey, yeah, good luck with your, you know, with whatever, because it looks like you're eating all this crappy food. So I could see why you don't like me, because somebody actually looks at their health, and you're basically going to end up like what, you know, I said something to that effect. And then I started Facebooking the Eat, Travel with Max. And I see, and this person was saying, oh yeah, my nephew opened up a blog. My 8-year-old nephew opened up a blog of his travels and his reviews on hotels and the restaurants in these hotels. And I'm like, oh my God, this 8-year-old is saying how I'm, you know, I'm killing people and doing this. 8 years old. But I knew an 8-year-old. He was very precocious when I was a nanny. So I guess I'm not surprised that 8-year-olds actually have an opinion on jelly juice, especially if they have parents. But before I even knew he was an 8-year-old, I saw that somebody posted about, oh yeah, Eat, Travel with Max. You should check out his blog. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, he's not a very nice person, you know. And then I blocked the person, right? And then I find out that it's an 8-year-old that has an opinion about jelly juice and decided to write me on it. And I'm like, so nowadays you don't even know. You don't even know who it is you're dealing with. You don't even know how old they are. So nowadays, men need to be very freaking careful who it is they get into bed with. Because you have no idea if they're like 12 or 13, because they're going to look like they're 30. So we're going to have a lot more sexual offender people on the list, because people don't know nowadays. They can't gauge anymore, because we are progressing and we are advancing biochemical-wise so fast, because of the fact that women are triggering menstruation at a very early age. Okay, so what's normal really is to not trigger menstruation, because that means your life is on a life trajectory. And so, within the last like 200 years, last like I would say 60 or 100 years, girls have been maturing very quickly as far as developing. And, and the hormones in the milk, the hormones in the meat, the hormones in all the different foods are hormone mimickers, like in soy. So it's going to come to, right now, like I'm watching these Netflix shows and watching TV, and I'm just like, it really is a major freak show. And so that's why I can watch some stuff and realize that, okay, I know, hey, that movie Baby on Netflix, no, it's glorifying human trafficking. It's glorifying child trafficking. It really is, because that's what, but you've got to watch it to see this is exactly where our future is going. And so now more than ever, we've got to teach our children. We've got to get our children 100% healthy, or they're going to get caught up in all of this. The ones that don't like my stuff, the ones that don't care about taking care of themselves, are going to trigger some of these lifestyle issues that we see on TV. And that's unfortunate. Some people are going to be major psychos in the system in the future, because their behaviors are left unchecked because of all the mutations they endured in the womb, as well as then substantiated and perpetuated in their life. That's why I'm against now activism. Because it really is about, oh, my poison is so much better than your poison. That's what's in the chemtrails community right now. Because it's a feeder into the holistic industry. So they're saying that this poison out there is horrible, but the poison that they're giving each other, whether it's zeolite or colloidal silver or C60, oh, that's a much better poison than whatever they're spraying in the air. As far as dimming the sun, I don't buy that. There's no way to dim the sun. Yes, they could put layers and layers of stuff, but air is so prevalent. There's so much air, it's a dilution force. So, it's like, I'm not too concerned about all the fear stuff in the activist world. I'm really not. And so, so that's why I'm saying, you guys, the answer is not out there. The answer is not going like, oh, all these human trafficking and all of these crazy bad people and the Illuminati and the politics. They have nothing to do with you. You take care of yourself inside. You take care of your children that you're responsible for. And then you try to drop seeds to your friends and family, but hey, it's their life. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. And that's how you make a world a better place, because you have no control over what happens out there. But people act as if they have that kind of control. But then, yeah, the whole voting thing and the activism gives people, a false sense of control when they have absolutely zero. And guess what happens in the end for all activists, no matter which side they are on? They die. So what exactly are you protesting? You don't like all of the chemtrails. You don't like the vaccines. But because of, oh, they're trying to kill us. But you're already dying. And then you're like, well, if they weren't doing that, then, hey, you know what? And this is where I'm like, okay. It becomes political. Because people are like, well, if they weren't doing this to us, then we wouldn't be dying. But you realize that we've been around for a very long time, and they've done so many different things, but yet we're still here. The chemtrails are around, but yet I still got healthy, right? People are still living. They're not dead. If they were trying to actually kill us all, we wouldn't be here. It's not that difficult to kill a human being or life. But it's not, they're not killing us to that. It's you not understanding how to deal with countering the forces. But it's so advanced, I get it. So that's why we have to exemplify. That's why this is such a grassroots effort, what we're doing with Jelly Juice. It's so grassroots because there's still that mentality that if you're not activated, you're not being an activist out there, then you're not doing anything. But those activists are dying. So this is so grassroots and so advanced for people when you tell them you don't have to die at all. I mean, that right there just is like, what the hell? But when you go to that extreme, then everything out there that's an argument, whether it's pro-vax or anti-vax, whether it's GMO versus organic, then you realize that's really a distraction. It is a manufactured, divide and conquer. Let's get people, give them a reason to live. If we got everybody 100% healthy, and nobody got their period and we weren't reproducing, but we're still living. So it's not like we're going to eradicate humans on the earth, because reproduction, it comes from somebody that's dying, right? So if everybody's 100% healthy, they're not sexual, so you're not going to have any victims of sexual predator type stuff. And you're not having kids unless you happen to then know how to lower your immune system to get pregnant, which means that it's going to take some forethought. And you wanting to come to terms with being sick when you're having a child, then fine. But then you make sure that kid is not going to end up like these kids that are out there right now being trafficked or whatever. So if we get everybody 100% well, we won't have this problem of war. We won't have this problem of child trafficking or human trafficking. We wouldn't have this problem with people abusing each other in some way. Okay, so that's why there's a lot of people that have left me, because I'm tired of people focusing on the negative stuff. Teach your boys, get them on the protocol, get yourself on the protocol. You covering child trafficking every single day, you covering the Illuminati every single day isn't really helping you, because you're not even taking care of yourself. You're still yapping your mouth and you're also dying. So what exactly are you fighting for? You're not fighting for your own life or life on this planet. You're only fighting to be right, to traumatize people around you. The Illuminati only exists in your head, or it exists on Facebook. That is a virtual reality. Facebook is a virtual reality. It's a programming. So finally, when you step away and you stop focusing on the Illuminati and the chemtrails and the human trafficking and this, and you start looking at your immediate world, if you see something that is unlawful, you say something, you do your civic duty, right? You realize the reason why we have police out there is because we have really messed up, mutated people that are out of control. Do you want to deal with these mutated people that are out of control, that you have no control over? Do you want to deal with that person? Or do you want law enforcement to deal with them? Or do you want the government to deal with them? Do you want infrastructure in your society? You want that? Or are you so focused that that the president and everybody is all messed up and this? No, you don't want to deal with that, with all the crappy people that don't want to make good choices, right? Because you know already that people don't even see and understand specific, concepts. So what makes you think that you're going to be able to legislate somebody else's behavior? Because what would happen if there was no police and no military? All the people that are freaking out of control would then try to hurt you. There has to be a balance. We got to have metal in our society, because metal creates tools and defense items and things that we need to make sure that we can protect ourselves from what we can control, and then understand what we can control and do the best we can to help each other. But you have all of this, and there's going to be hey, gas prices. I know what is in France, gas prices are way astronomical. So there's a lot of civil unrest in the world because of so many mutations in our society. And that sucks, because there's something I can do about that over there in France. There's something that I can do about that over in Yemen, where people are starving. There is nothing that I can do about what happens in the next town over when somebody's getting abused. But what I can control is my own world. And so when we stop focusing so much on the outside, we look in and we actually clean up our own backyard, the world will eventually become a better place. Yes, you're still going to see, death and destruction, because there's so many mutated people. It's going to happen. But we've got to learn how to separate that and realize what we can control. And if life goes to shit where we live, then we move somewhere. And then eventually, if life goes to shit everywhere, then I guess it's going to be a collective war where everybody, not Democrat, Republicans, not GMO versus organic, it's going to be humanity fighting for itself. But we're not there yet. Humanity, Democrat or Republican, hasn't had an issue where we all had to collectively join together. Now these things that happen, like with 9/11 or these crazy, natural disasters that happen, it does unify people, but it's a very short unification, very, very short. And I don't see any leader or puppeteer creating that much chaos where it's going to unify everybody. The more divided we are, the easier they think it's easier to control. So let them have their fun. And then we know what we can control in our worlds, and then we create what we want. And those that fall into those manipulations, they'll phase themselves out. They'll phase out of the genetic line. They will. You've seen them. People who are like anti-vax, who are taking in colloidal silver and elderberry syrup and feeding it to their kids, they're going to take themselves out of the genetic line. And there's nothing you can do about that. But you know about jelly juice, and you will still keep regenerating your cells. You'll deal with all of the healing symptoms, and then you will watch your whole body just transform. And then you'll be the best copy for yourself. You'll be around for a very long time, God willing, or you willing, right? So that way you can help the people around you. But right now, you're not doing any favors for humanity by protesting. What the fudge are you protesting? What are you fighting for? Fight for yourself. The battle is in here. It is not out there talking about the chemtrails. It is not out there talking about how, oh yeah, this happened to me like, whatever years ago. The battle is not over there in biotech. The battle is in here. But I talk about biotech to give you guys information so that way you understand where I'm coming from, so you can make that decision and see, oh yeah, holistic world is no different than the allopathic world. They both are run by biotech in some way. I mean, naturopathics and homeopathics have to get licensed by the state. That ought to tell you something. They're dealing with immunotherapies. All the therapies are the rape of the mind and the body. All it is just, inducing antibodies, natural killer cells, opioid, endorphin, painkiller effect. And, so the more that you circulate in that world of CBD and colloidal silver and the naturopathic, homeopathic, you'll end up like those activists who don't care about their own body, who want to fight with nothing, with no substance behind there. It's just like when people just put platitudes and memes on their wall as an everyday thing, right? This is the moral way, right? So when your life is basically one large platitude, your life is just one large meme, and there's no substance behind it, that's how you're going to die in the system, because you're not really taking care of the insides, really. You like the idea of being a good person, but actually doing the work to be this amazing 100% viable human being that's 100% healthy, that's a lot of hard work. Not everybody is going to be able to do it. And I can tell who can do it and who can't, because I can tell by the attitudes. You can tell by their questions. You can tell by them creating seeds of doubt because of their belief system. And I pick up on that right away, because I've had these theories that I put out there about reproduction, about 100% health, about the 4 seasons, about, malnutrition, and then about, the negative and positive, right? So if you don't understand that, then that's fine. You could stay in the other side of the world and do whatever you do. But I'm trying to just get some very basic concepts out there, and either you get it or you don't. So yeah, it's going to take a while for us to get where we ultimately want to go. And we're going to see a lot of crap in our world. We're going to see our friends and family dying. We're going to see our kids die. We're going to see, things that we never, ever wanted to see. And you'll see a lot of that on television. You don't even have to see it on Facebook. Well, Facebook is another window to the world too, but television is too, because art imitates life. All these artists out there that are so popular, like Van Gogh, they're all messed up. And they've glorified art and they've glorified mutations to where, you know, you've seen some of these, like, you know, Schwarzenegger and some of his art, and some of these, you know, like Podesta and all those type of people, and they have really major messed up art. And a lot of you have already explored that area, and it's a horrific area. But that's a mutated person. Some of you have tried to expose George Bush's crimes against humanity. Remember, he's mutated. So is his family. What do you expect from a mutation? So let's not produce children, and let's not contribute to the mutations in our society by playing with these games that they're playing with us. Let's start understanding what Jillian's trying to say, because Jillian, who makes her, what makes her, like, you know, the end all be all? Hey, if you don't think that I'm the end all be all, then there's no reason for you to listen to me. But if you kind of sort of get where I'm coming from and you've listened to enough of my videos, maybe there's some ounce of truth in this. And it's just peeling away the biochemical crap that you've been dealing with and learned over the last like 100, 200 years, because you have been taught by your friends and your family and your parents, who then been taught by your grandparents, and then down the line. I mean, it's just stories being passed down from generation to generation. So nothing really is new under the sun. But now here's a novel thought. Are we supposed to freaking die? Nobody's asked that question. We've heard about immortality. It almost seems like it was a fantasy. Immortality, that's something you find like on TV, you know, science fiction. And there's no fiction about it. Immortality is possible. But that's so like predicting the future. We can't predict the future. So let's just get ourselves 100% well. And what would we die from except for a plane crash or something that's totally out of our control? And then, yeah, I can see that possibility that immortality could potentially exist. So that's not too far stretch of the imagination if you understand cellular regeneration. Not too far at all. But you're gonna, yeah, but living this life right now on this earth is going to be very painful for some of you. But right now, me as not having my period yet, it's been since October 20th. My energy levels and my body and everything else is working at the best capacity that I could think of. And who knows, maybe it could even feel better, but who knows? I can't imagine anything feeling better than this. I'm going to see a bunch of crap. It's going to suck. I'm watching right now my friends and family degrade in the system. It sucks, but you know what? I can handle it. Because I know what I can control, and I know what I cannot control, and I do 100% within my power to make sure that I've done what I can. And then once you've done 100% within your power, then you know what? You're absolved of any responsibility. But if you're just half-assing my information to your clients because you're a massage therapist, then no, you haven't done 100%, you know, within your power. And then that will be your conscience. That'll be on your conscience. Because I believe that no matter what, you do 100%, then you've done your part. The rest is up to the other person. And that way you can't feel bad. You'll prepare for, you know, when someone is finally, you know, going to pass on, and you know that that's going to devastate their friends and family around them. But you already called it. You already saw it. You know, once you see what's going to happen, and you know what's going to happen because you know that's the pattern and it's so obvious, then it's not going to be too much of a surprise. It's not going to shock you. It's when you're not aware, you're not proactive, you're always reactive, is when people get shocked. So when you're proactive, then nothing is going to surprise you. Imagine living that way than living in a reactive life, which is basically everything out there in the Matrix. Is you're living in a reactive life, so that's why people get shocked, they get traumatized, they get like, oh my God. No, with the whole thing with the human body, it's so predictable. You can call when someone is probably going to trigger something. All you got to do is just talk to a person just for, like, let's say a half an hour, and you ask them really poignant questions, and you know exactly the trajectory that they're on, their lifestyle, when they're probably going to trigger some illness, and then how they're going to react to it. So it becomes very easy to read human beings because it's very easy to pick and choose who your friends are. Do you want a friend that's always, you know, messing up all the time? Or you want someone that kind of remotely makes relatively good decisions and they just need a little help and guidance in making the right decisions? Because it's now have to do with biochemistry, not intellectualizing what's right or wrong. So anyways, this is my take right now, being the fact that I feel 1,000 times better did 2 years ago. And I don't feel like my period's going to come anytime soon. I'm hoping, yeah, not even hoping. I mean, I want to maintain this high that I have. You know, you're chasing the high in the system, but when you're on Jilly Juice, you're maintaining that amazing feeling. And I hope a lot of you get there. Some of you won't, but I hope most of you get to where I'm at, because that's where the most power is. When you're not begging somebody else to save you, because that's where the slavery. People say, oh, I don't want to live in the slave wage system. Nothing's for freaking free, person. You know, you got to work for what you get, right? If you didn't have any infrastructure and all you had was seeds and a bunch of sticks and maybe a few pieces of cloth, but who's making the cloth, right? Somebody had to make that cloth. You'd have to go build yourself shelter and plant your seeds so you can feed yourself, and then make your weapons if you wanted to go eat a piece of meat or something. All right. So freedom is when you are personally responsible for your own welfare for the most part, and then knowing what it is that you can depend upon in our society. Freedom is personal responsibility. When you have to beg somebody to save you is when you're a freaking slave. So totally dependent people are slaves. And people who are sick are slaves. People who are protesting the government and protesting all these things are slaves. I'm watching some of these slaves in our society degrade. Like and the more that they're degrading, the more their death throes are so much pronounced. You can feel the caustic energy in just what they say. You can feel that negative, and you know eventually their person's on their way out. They already had a major scare. And they're like, oh, I was in the hospital, and oh, I hate the government, Yeah, you're a slave. And you're pissed off because you've lost control of your life, so you want to blame everybody around you. And you'll be seeing that. Don't be surprised, but don't end up like them. Use them as a, as a data source. Okay, because there's some people that you want to watch that gives you just the negative energy, but you want to watch to then confirm what you already know. And it's like watching TV. You're watching all the mutated people on TV. It's like Facebook is just like no different than the television. Art imitates life. So anyways, have an amazing day, guys. I got to talk to Kevin. I think he's awake right now. We're going to get some stuff knocked out. And I'm very, very happy that you guys are here. Now we just got to change ourselves, and then hopefully we can change the future of our humanity, but it's going to be a while. Okay, we got 7 billion people, and most of them, if not all, except for a few of us, are mutated, and it's going to be a freaking battle. But it's a battle that you're going to win because you're going to be stronger than that mutated person. That's the key. Immortality is so much stronger when you reverse your mutation stronger than someone who was mutated and dying, because they're not thinking with all of their marbles. They've lost a few marbles along the way. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.